Hey guys, today I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this, the FUJI X-H1, before I sell it. So as you may know, I go to San Francisco pretty regularly for my work. My office is there, and so when I travel out there, I like to take along a specific piece of gear and test it out and try it on the streets of San Francisco, where I love doing street photography. And for this most recent trip last week, I took the FUJI X-H1, of course, with just 2 lenses. That's all I took. A lot of times I'll take a B camera, a camera that I can kind of shoot myself while I do a review of a piece of gear, but this time I didn't. I specifically took just the FUJI X-H1 to test it out and to try it out as a hybrid photo and video camera. So I was jumping between photography and videography and trying to come away with photos and snippets of video that I was happy with, and I think I was successful. I was pleased with how this performed and with what I was able to take away. So I want to share with you what I came away with in the spare moments I had to do some photography. But I'm going to do it a little different this time. Rather than kind of interspersing my thoughts about a piece of gear with the art, I guess, the photos and videos that I got, I'm just going to show you a montage of all the stuff I captured, and without any commentary or voiceover. I think that'll help you to see what maybe this is capable of and hopefully be entertaining. So we're going to jump to that first, and after that, then I'll share with you kind of the boring stuff, my thoughts on this guy, who it might work well for, who may not appreciate it as much, why I'm not keeping it, that sort of thing. So if that sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll stick around after. But for everybody else, I hope you enjoy the montage. Roll film.
I'm an idiot.
hopefully you enjoyed that. I did forget to mention beforehand that I shot all that with the Fuji 18-55 kit lens for both photo and video, which performed amazingly well. I also took along this X-mount Lensbaby Composer Pro 2 with the Edge 50 lens, and so you probably caught a bit of that at the end. I didn't do too much with it, but I decided to take it along both because I'd like to do a review of it and because I thought San Francisco might be a great place to kind of give that toy car feel. So got a couple interesting shots with this, but in general, I want to focus my words today on the X-H1. But I do want to say before anything else that this camera does what it says it'll do very well. It's the H in it stands for hybrid, I believe. The X-H1 does photography and videography extraordinarily well. As a Fuji shooter, coming from the X-T2 as my primary camera, I'll say that this really is a step up in several ways, both in just performance, but also because of the IBIS, the in-body image stabilization is pretty incredible. It's pretty rock solid, and I'm able to get shots that I normally wouldn't get nice and sharp at much lower shutter speeds than I'm used to. And that was really fun to do and to enjoy and use. Also on the videography side, I really love Fuji's capabilities when it comes to video, and I'm really happy with how they're coming along. I like that you can shoot log now, but actually I prefer Eterna. Now, I'm not a professional videographer. I do it for fun. I guess I've been paid a couple times, but in general, I wouldn't call myself an expert. So keep that in mind. And when I say that I really love Eterna, it's because it requires a lot less effort to color grade afterwards. I feel like I'm given a color profile already that works really well and doesn't require a ton of DaVinci Resolve time to make it look how I'm happy with it. So I like that film profile, and that's coming from the GH5, where the profiles are all pretty good too, but none of them are quite that amazing to me. But that's all just personal opinion. Aside from that, the video features that it has are very impressive. The image stabilization, I do feel like, is on par with the GH5, if not slightly better in certain situations. What it doesn't have, though, as compared to many other of the video offerings out there, is 4K 60p, and that is a drawback. I shot everything at 60p. I usually do because I like to have the option to slow down the footage. So that meant not shooting in 4K, and that also meant not being able to kind of cut in and crop in on a shot where I wanted to. So I did find that inhibiting, where I haven't had that with the GH5. I felt more freedom. So that certainly was something that I found to be disappointing with the X-H1 offering for video. But aside from that, I can't think of many other features that it doesn't have that other cameras might give you that it doesn't make up for, both in extraordinary IBIS with awesome lenses and with that Eterna profile. I might mention that this lens, this 18-55, is an excellent video lens with its stabilization coupled with the in-body image stabilization of the X-H1. It's just a great setup. I loved it. However, there are many Fuji lenses that I wouldn't put on the X-H1 and expect it to perform as well, because they're just loud to focus and they don't have the stabilization. So so Fuji, I'd say right there, is limited in the number and quality of video-centric lenses that you can get, at least at the less expensive, the affordable level. So keep that in mind for video. Now, when it comes to photography, I don't think I need to tell anybody watching this that it's amazing. It's really great at photography. I personally don't feel like when I pull out a Fuji X camera that I'm sacrificing much, if anything, when it comes to sensor even though it's not a full frame sensor. I really don't feel like I'm losing that much, especially when you consider how small and lightweight those amazing lenses are and the technology in general. And it's small, and that's what really got me to switch. If you're like me though, and if you moved to Fuji from DSR land because the size of the kit was a draw to you, then this is probably not the way to go. Even though it's great, even though it has that stabilization, it's significantly larger and heavier. The walls of this camera are beefier. It weighs a bit more, but it's just bigger, and you lose a lot of that small profile you came to Fuji for. So for me, that's probably why I'm not going to keep it. In addition to that, I guess one of the biggest drawbacks of this camera, it's going to burn through those batteries so much more quickly than the X-T2, the X Pro 2, some of the other Fuji cameras, which already had poor performing battery life in my opinion. Of course, you know, you can get the battery grip, but that's just increasing an already large camera. So not an option for me. If size doesn't bother you and you're attracted to Fuji for other reasons, then I would say don't hesitate for a second. This really is right now Fuji's top offering for both video and photo, at least at the on the X line. So don't hesitate, run out and grab yourself a copy. But if you're like me, where weight is something that you were attracted to it for, then it's probably just a bit over the edge. But one other good thing over the X-T2 that I should mention is that it does feel like it might be more durable, that it might have a bit more robustness, I guess, than the X-T2. Those who've watched for a while will know that I have a little bit of concerns there. The X-T2, you know, I put it through the war, and it's kind of fallen apart a little bit. Still works great, still does everything I need it to do, but its durability is not the same as some of the other camera brands out there. Maybe the X-H1 will be more durable. I don't know, only time will tell. I won't tell because I'm not gonna have it in my possession, but others I'm sure will comment on that as the months go by. Aside from all that, I'll mention one last thing in regards to the montage you saw. You'll no doubt notice that I was moving between video and photography very quickly. I would shoot the same thing in both as often as I could to try to get the context before the still. And during that process, I did become frustrated. As I mentioned before, switching between photography and stills with this camera is not the best experience because you're usually gonna have to manipulate the shutter as well as the mode dial, as well as aperture and ISO sometimes. And that's too many steps to try to move, to try to get the proper exposure for really different mediums. Someone did give me the tip in my last video that if I put this in a silent movie mode, then that's going to give me this ability to set my settings internally and not have to use the dials. That's nice because that means that I can move back and forth from like continuous high or single to video, and it will store those settings. But that also gets a little precarious when I need to change those settings because I have to use the touch screen to do it, you know, because it's in silent mode. I can't use the dials. And so what I found myself doing is I would leave it in pretty much auto mode for video, meaning I would set it to be auto ISO and auto aperture, so that I could leave my shutter speed at 120 because I was shooting at 60 frames per second. So that way I could be assured that if I was in a hurry, I would be able to get that shot by just, you know, switching over to video mode quickly. I would not lose the shot. But what you lose is the ability, because that aperture and that ISO is automatic and the iris is, that mechanical iris moves, how's that? It's not a smooth movement. You'll notice that it goes darker, 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 or lighter, 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 kind of at a fixed interval. And it's not a pleasant experience. So I would either need to do that or I would need to move it out into a manual mode. But because I was in a hurry, that was even more precarious than using the dials at times. So there's not a really great solution for storing preset modes from video and photography and moving back and forth, unfortunately. That's a little bit of a hack, and it doesn't satisfy all use cases. So that was my frustration with it for using it in that sort of environment. Now I know that just because you shoot in hybrid mode doesn't mean you normally wouldn't have all the time in the world to move back and forth, or that you would only be doing one or the other in any given session, many people, but for me, I am, and so for me, it is a source of frustration. Maybe it won't be to you, but keep in mind that if you think that you'll need to move quickly, then this is probably not going to work very well for you, or without a lot of practice, a lot of muscle memory to get quick and not accidentally leave out an important setting when you're trying to capture those shots that you're trying to get. So that was my experience using this as a hybrid device. Again, it performs admirably well in both video and stills in most cases, and I have no trouble at all recommending it for folks who are not afraid of the larger size and battery life issues. So anyway, those are my thoughts regarding the FUJI X-H1. Great device, not the right one for me. Doesn't mean that it wouldn't be for you, but that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again real soon.